Um, all right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this call. I just want to take this time to first introduce ourselves, and then if everyone could share your role at Franklin and describe how you've each been working with Harbor House this past year. And I'll start. So my name is Esther Lee Bland, and I'm a parent of a second grader and a fourth grader at Franklin. And I also serve as a board member of Harbor House. And we'll go to Juan next.
Yeah, hi, my name is Juan Quintana. I'm the school social worker at Franklin. And my work with Harbor House this past year has been referring families that have not been online. Online has been very challenging for them, getting online to do school learning. So Harbor House having their pods has been really amazing and essential in this time. So what I've been doing is referring families pretty much to Harbor House. Yep. So next.
I guess I can go. Hi, everybody. I am Lisa Lai. I am the principal at Franklin, and my role with Harbor House is really we've been the partner, and I met Casey over the summer, and prior to the pandemic, Harbor House really served as an after-school program, where our students would then go to Harbor House after school at 3 o'clock. This year, Harbor House's role obviously shifted into supporting us with learning pods during the day for our most vulnerable students who did not, for whatever reason, could not access online learning, and Harbor House played an integral role in helping us make that happen for the kiddos. So that's in a nutshell what our partnership looks like this year. Next year will be it's another big question mark, but whatever it is, we know that Harbor House will continue to remain a vital partner in our community.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Sufran. I'm the assistant principal at Franklin and work with Juan and Lusa. And I had the pleasure this year of working really closely with Casey and all of the team members at Harbor House, both for coordinating the Franklin in-person pods, but also for the virtual tutor program. So making sure that our students and families who are interested in having a virtual tutor and some extra academic support were able to get connected with a tutor through Harbor House. So anytime we had a student that we were hoping to offer something a little bit extra, Harbor House was always our go-to partner, and they just really got creative this year and were a huge support to us. So I got to connect with them at any point when we felt like a student could use something more and figure out how Harbor House could step in.
Great, thanks. So in the context of a challenging year for your school, what has been the most helpful thing about having a partnership with Harbor House? And can you think of a specific child or family that has been helped by our programs?
Yeah, sure. There's one family in particular that has been extremely challenging, and working with Casey very closely, Casey and the staff going way beyond what I would consider, just way beyond work of helping this family out with transportation, cleanliness, health issues. And they have, just a constant, working with this very challenging family has been very impressive to see and to collaborate with. So I think that would be one example, definitely, that I see is been very impressive to see them work that way.
Yeah, and I would also add that Harbor House started with in-person pods in the fall, in August, at the start of the school year. And then Casey made it work to bring in a whole second round of pods. So we were able to talk with Harbor House about who the students who are most in need of that in-person learning experience this year might be, and to connect with families and explore the option of an in-person pod, and then eventually create a new pod that started at the start of our second semester. So being able to not just start a group at the beginning of the school year, but also at the middle of the year, being able to say, okay, these are the kids for whom learning virtually really didn't work in the fall, and to be able to really problem solve at that point in the year and bring them in person. For every kid in that pod, it was an absolute game changer. And their teachers who spent all fall being really worried about those students and asking, how can we do more for these kids? Those pods just completely altered the conversation at the point at which they started coming in person to Harbor House. And so completely shifted the year of learning that those kids had. And it was true for every single one of them.
Okay, and I was wondering, what's a hope that you have for the future of Franklin and your students?
Well, my hope is that Franklin really is this place of utopia for all of our students and community, where they come in, they smile, they learn, they love being here. And we have our garden, we have our playground, we have stellar instruction going on, and that the kids really have all the supports of anything and everything that they need. And that's really what my vision is for Franklin.
And I would add to that, central to the conversation about Harbor House, we have a vision of Franklin really being a community school that respects everybody who is connected to the school as a real partner and as a leader. So the ability to really connect more with Harbor House this year has shown us the power of bringing in those partners as members of the Franklin community. And our vision for Franklin is that just gets stronger and stronger, and that other organizations and families and all of the people who play any role, small or big, at Franklin feel like they are part of the vision and they are leaders in making Franklin the best school it can be. So we're really invested in that, and Harbor House has made it really easy to get started on that.
Great. And one last question, why should our supporters consider donating to Harbor House's Hope on the Horizon campaign? Why does the work of Harbor House matter in the Oakland community?
Well, I would just add that just this past year, working closely with Harbor House, it's just been very essential for families that are very hard to reach. There are a lot of families this past year. It's been very challenging. They're falling through the cracks. And I think Harbor House has stepped in. I witnessed it. I've been collaborating with Casey and the staff, and I've seen what they've done. And I think it's definitely worth supporting them and the work that they're doing. And for the community at large, the Franklin community, I think it's very essential. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that. Harbor House really is an essential part of our community. There are services that Harbor House provides that we as a Franklin Elementary is not able to. Something that they're doing right now, for example, bringing their pod kids into in-person learning, those students would not have the opportunity to come to school at Franklin if it were not for Harbor House because of family limitations. And then on top of that, Hana mentioned the virtual tutoring. They're helping 50 kids at least every day with online tutoring. And that's another, just because of staffing challenges at Franklin, that's another service that Harbor House is able to offer our students. And we really do appreciate everything that Harbor House has been able to provide for our families, and they are just such an integral piece of the bigger vision. And we're just so grateful for Harbor House and for Casey and all the donors who've actually helped us realize this this goal that we have. And we hope to continue to expand the program so that we can actually reach more kids next year.
And I would just add that at every turn, when the families who are part of the Harbor House community have had needs, I've seen how Casey has been able to turn to the resources that Harbor House has. So we've had some of the families from Franklin who work with Harbor House experience a crisis this year, and Casey is always there to step in with whatever resources are needed. And I just know that it's a full service community organization. Whatever a family needs, once they're connected to Harbor House, it is a safety net, and Casey will be able to mobilize the Harbor House community for that family. And I imagine that Harbor House can't be what it is without the resources that come from donors. So it's amazing what Harbor House is able to do. And I know that the Franklin community is incredibly grateful for that. And I wouldn't want to see that safety net fall away.
Well, I want to thank you so much for all that you do for the children, and we are so grateful to be working alongside all of you towards our common goal of helping these families to flourish. So thank you so much for your time, and that's it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harbor House.